I asked my friend recently who they would most like to do a photography workshop with, and they said Pinkasov. For those of you who aren't familiar with Pinkasov, he's an incredible photographer, part of the world-renowned Magnum Photo Agency. I was quite surprised and said to my friend, well, he's so different to a traditional street photographer and his work is really conceptual, it's not like yours at all. And he replied with, well, yeah, of course, that's exactly why I want to do a workshop with him. I can learn something new and take my work in a new direction. And this really got me thinking about the power of being open to new ideas when it comes to our own approach to photography. And so often I find that we tend to want to do the opposite and really pigeonhole ourselves to one idea or style. Pinkasov himself once said, even the style can turn one into a slave if one does not run away from it, and then one is doomed to repeat oneself. So to avoid getting into the trap of chasing a style or genre, in this video I'm going to talk about some ways we can really reinvent our photography, how you can try new things and ultimately discover a whole new world of photographic opportunities. So let's get right into it. One of the most effective ways to reinvent any creative practice is to break your own habits. If you typically shoot wide-angle shots with a lot of context, maybe try a tighter, more intimate approach. If you often capture bustling, chaotic street scenes, then take a moment to focus on stillness and solitude. If you usually wait for the perfect moment, step into the scene yourself and make a bit of noise to create something. Something I really want to try going forward is shooting with a 28mm lens, as I've never shot that wide before. I'm excited to see if my work changes at all, and switching up like this could really inject a new approach to my work. Let me know what your favourite focal length is and if you'd consider changing up to try a different approach. Another way to inject a newness to your photography is to find ways to challenge your instincts. If you're used to shooting in a busy, colourful environment, then venture into quieter spaces or embrace a more muted, monochromatic palette. If you always shoot during the day, then maybe take your camera out at night or experiment with the early morning hours. This shift in approach forces you to think differently and, more importantly, to see differently. But to really break out of our routines, inspiration is vital. But if we always look at the same stuff, then how are we possibly going to grow and try new things going forward? Street photography doesn't exist in a vacuum. Photographers from when the first photo was taken up until now, when millions are taken every second, have all gained inspiration from the world around them. To breathe new life into your work, it can really help to look beyond the confines of street photography itself. Dive into other genres such as portraiture, fashion, or documentary photography. Study the work of artists from different mediums, painters, sculptors, filmmakers, and designers. The world of fine art, film, and graphic design can offer a wealth of visual language that you can really adapt and use in your own street photography. Studying art and going to galleries and exhibitions can really enhance your photography by sparking new ideas. Artists like Salvador Dali and Claude Monet can teach you about perspective, light and atmosphere, encouraging you to experiment with abstraction or maybe capture fleeting moments in your work. Georgia O'Keeffe's exploration of colour and form and Piet Mondrian's minimalist compositions can really influence your approach to colour theory and simplicity. Sculptors like Henry Moore, known for his fluid forms and use of space, offer insights into negative space and texture. By exploring different art forms, you can really break creative boundaries and then maybe even discover fresh approaches to composition and storytelling which you can use in your photography. Similarly, watching films to see how creative people can get when they have a lot of time to stage perfect scenes can really enhance how you see the world and how you might want to portray it with your camera. But once we're inspired, we can often feel a little bit stuck on what to do to change it up, so that's what we'll explore next. Another way to reinvigorate your street photography is by experimenting with different formats and approaches to technique. If you're used to digital, maybe try switching to film. The graininess of film, the unpredictability of exposure, and the tactile nature of the process can really introduce a sense of spontaneity and excitement that's sometimes lost in the precision of digital cameras. The choice of colour versus black and white can also redefine how you capture a scene. Colour photography can inject life and vibrancy, highlighting the richness of everyday moments. Yet black and white can strip away the distractions, focusing your audience's attention on the forms, shapes, and contrasts that often go unnoticed in the colour-drenched world. But what if you want to try new things that require a little bit more structure on a new approach? One of the most powerful ways to reinvent your street photography is to focus on a project. Street photography is often thought of as a genre of moments, a collection of standalone images, but a project forces you to think cohesively, to develop a narrative or concept that binds your work together. The framework of a project can spark new creative directions, helping you discover unseen details and reignite your passion for the genre. For instance, you might choose a project centered around documenting where you live. If it's a boring place, this will force you to be more creative, take risks, try new ideas, and maybe even approach photography in ways you'd never thought about before. The key is that the project provides a structure that pushes you out of your comfort zone and encourages you to think critically about what you're doing. It gives your work purpose beyond the individual shot and brings you back to the streets with renewed focus and excitement. It doesn't have to be a grand body of work that you feel pressure to create for a book or a zine. You don't even need to tell anyone about it. It can just give you a structure to try out some new ideas and get out of your comfort zone. Another way to reinvent your street photography is to consider incorporating street portraits into your practice if you don't already. While candid shots of people in public spaces are a staple of street photography, capturing portraits allows for a deeper, more personal connection with your subjects. A well-executed street portrait can convey emotion, character, and a unique story, transforming a simple street scene into a powerful narrative. When photographing portraits in the street, take some time to really engage with your subject, whether through a brief interaction, a smile, or simply making eye contact. This approach helps create a more intimate connection, allowing you to really capture genuine expressions and moments. A street portrait can reveal the raw, unfiltered nature of city life, offering a contrast to the impersonal, fast-paced shots often associated with street photography. And I've only just started to scratch the surface of street portraiture in my own photography practice, and it's something I really want to explore more of in the future. If something's new to you though, like doing street portraits for example, then that's what the next thing can really help you with. Sometimes reinventing your street photography is not about what you do, but who you do it with. Consider collaborating with other photographers or artists, exchange ideas, critique each other's work, and then challenge one another to see things differently. Whether you're working on a shared project, participating in a workshop, or simply just joining a community of like-minded creatives, collaboration can push your boundaries in ways that solitary work might not. Reinventing your street photography isn't about abandoning everything you know or drastically changing your style overnight. It's about embracing new experiences, new techniques, and new ways of just seeing the world. By doing the opposite of what you usually do, seeking inspiration outside your usual genre, experimenting with different formats, and really focusing on projects that challenge you, you can breathe new life into your practice. The key is to remain open, curious, and committed to the process of discovery. Your street photography won't just become more exciting, it will also become more meaningful, more fulfilling, and more connected to who you are as an artist. To give you more ideas and different ways of looking at the world that you might want to try it yourself, then check out this playlist next, which features some street interviews with some absolutely incredible photographers.